Yeah. When the time is.
How do you switch it back?
To, what are you trying to switch back to? Zoom? Just on there. Yeah. You good?
I think we're good.
All right, Joe.
Ready? We'd like to call this meeting to order. We have a roll call, please. I'm going to be doing the roll call. Then Rebecca.
Where's,
Elizabeth usually does.
yes, is she,
Can she hear you?
can we ask her to?
I can hear you.
Yeah,
What did you
would have
need me to do?
unmute it.
Where is she at, where she made it out?
So you would,
Mute?
yeah,
Do you want me to mute myself? Is that what you're saying?
can she not hear you?
She's not.
It's muted.
I don't know what's going
This
on.
is my first time doing this. Okay. You know, Okay, thank you.
I don't know why she's not.
Come on, Joe.
You're an expert.
Is it,
You'll be.
You
an expert.
got me into this.
Can you hear me, Vince?
Yes,
Okay. What did you want me to do?
can you do roll call, please?
Come on, Joe.
Oh, take the roll call.
is it,
You'll be.
You got me into this.
Can you hear me, Vince?
Yes.
Okay. What did you want me to do?
unmute?
Can you do roll call, please?
Come on, Joe.
Oh, take the roll call.
Is it? You'll be.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. What did you want me to do? Well, a commit. Oh, take the roll call. I don't know why it's doing that, but Commissioner Chair Trujillo.
Asking for a roll call. Why don't we do, yeah.
Okay, we're having some technical issues. I can take roll call. Commissioners President J.R. Trujillo. We know that he's not present.
He's not
Tim
present.
Borrego,
Present.
Charlene Gwynn. Present. Joe Salazar,
Present.
Ross Chavez,
Present.
Commissioner Bustos. And JD Martinez.
Present.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do the pledge of allegiance now.
I know it's wrong.
Vince is the chair there?
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, we're going to be approving the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So
Second. So who do we get?
either one's.
There is one change to the agenda before we take a vote. We will be hearing case 23-05 preliminary plat review for subdivision. The only change that needs to be amended to 23-05 is a special, it's being heard as a special use of variance and a subdivision. There's three separate elements. The special use is for the change of zoning. It's currently in B2 zoning, and the variance for the 8-foot fence. Thank you.
Fence or wall?
Ms. Eva,
Yes.
is that legal to do it all in one, is specifically because it was not advertised as such?
I would have to consult with legal. It was advertised as the 6-plat subdivision.
Yeah, but there was not a special exception or anything else advertised.
Okay, I
You
will
can't,
check with our legal. So we will hear it as a 6-lot subdivision today for the preliminary plat review.
Ms. Sewell, you can't hear it.
Do we take her off mute?
By the way, everybody, this is our new planning director, Ms. Rebecca Sewell. She's only been on the job about 3 weeks.
Correct, yeah.
So we look forward to working with her for many years in the future, hopefully. Go ahead.
So we have a first and second approval of agenda, as we supposed to make a motion, Mr. Burry will second the motion. Okay. And now the next matter, we'll be discussing matters from the commission for close.
You need to take a vote on it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'd like to call for vote on the agenda. Thank you, Mr. Burry. Can we have a vote to roll call, please? Get a vote. We can say all agree. But we do a roll call, but that's whatever.
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have any unanimous? Okay, any matters from the commissioners that they'd like to bring up? Mr. Thomas?
No, not at this time.
Ms. Virgil?
Not at this time,
Mr.
sir.
Martinez? Ms. Quinn?
No.
Ms. Bustos? Okay. And then do we have any public comments other than what we're gonna be discussing on this public hearing? Are there any comments from the audience? Okey dokey. Now, what we're gonna be listening to, and I'm gonna be reading something before we start, okay? The following cases are quasi judicial in nature, and hearing will be conducted under provision required by the New Mexico Court of Appeals. This includes the identification of parties, hearing of all those who wish to provide testimony, the opportunity of cross-examination, to ask questions and be provided to all parties. Okay, we will now be opening the meeting for 2023 preliminary plat subdivision. And this is from Mr. Is that Garen? Garen, okay, Garen Fulgenzi, the applicant, is for preliminary plat approval for proposal of 6 lot custom home subdivision on property address at 610 South Riverside Drive. The subject property is located in B-2 General Commercial District. And who's going to be doing the presenting this for,
Yeah, so I will be presenting staff findings.
okay, so if you would please,
Mhm.
are you gonna be going to the podium or
I'll present from my laptop.
where you're at? Okay, okay. And I'll leave for you to swear you in. You swear or affirm that the testimony you will give will be the truth.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so if you will do your presentation.
Okay, so the subject property today is 610 Riverside Drive. The parcel number is listed below. If anyone would like to look it up on the public access City of Espanola parcel map, that is a good reference number to use. The applicant is Garen Fulgenzi, proposing a 6-lot custom home subdivision at 610 Riverside Drive. The subject property was deeded from Frank and Lucy Maestas to Camelot LLC for the 1.5473 acre tract. That was recorded at the Rio Arriba County Clerk's Office on 3/30. So the first order of business that we're looking at, pursued by the applicant, is the 6-lot subdivision. Here are the general procedures of that subdivision. And that is basically saying here that we are looking at the preliminary plat today as presented by Garen Fulgenzi of Camelot LLC, and the approval of the final plat going before the commission today. Because we are not hearing this as a variance today, or as a special use for a B2 designation, I'm going to hand it over to, I'm going to end with my staff recommendations now and then hand it over to Garen Fulgenzi. So should the commission recommend approval for this request based on the aforementioned findings of fact distributed in those packets, I will read them out loud. The applicant of this property is pursuant to the chapter 350 of the City of Espanola Municipal Code. The applicant Garen Fulgenzi is requesting a 6-lot subdivision, each 11,213 square feet in size. Legal notice has been made as required by Article 502 by posting meeting notices on site and sending letters to property owners within a 200-foot radius. Staff members have performed a reasonable inspection of the premise to determine that compliance with all land use regulations listed in Chapter 350 and the City of Espanola Municipal Code are met. Post inspections may also be performed occasionally to ensure compliance with this property. The granting of a city permit is not a waiver of other legal requirements. Necessary permits may be needed by other regulatory agencies, including federal, state, county, municipal, and covenants in order to lawfully engage in land use on the property. The burden is upon the landowner to meet all legal requirements. The property is zoned B2 General Commercial District. This commercial district is intended for the conduct of personal business and business services and the general retail businesses in the community. Persons living in the community and in the surrounding trade territory require direct and frequent access. Traffic generated by the uses will be primarily passenger vehicles and only those trucks and commercial vehicles required for stocking delivery of retail goods. The existing site is a 1.5 acre tract. The adjacent businesses to the proposed property are China Kitchen and Roadway Inn. The pursuant of this 6-lot subdivision is seeking a variance for an 8-foot block wall around the property. The proposed ingress will be on Riverside Drive and ingress and egress on Middle San Pedro Road. The homes in the subdivision have been proposed to be custom homes angled at the Lanel employee market, which brings me to my staff recommendations. Pursuant of this application, Garen Fulgenzi must comply with existing building requirements put forth by the Construction Industries Division in the state of New Mexico and existing regulations under Chapter 350 of the City of Espanola Municipal Code, as well as other applicable ordinances in this code, with the exception of the variance request. We will not be hearing that today, like I said. Under the conditions of approval of this permit, the homes should be site built. Under the recommendations of the wastewater department during the DRT meeting, the applicant must put 2 manholes on the street connecting the subdivision. The applicant must work with the wastewater and planning department in order to complete this. The applicant must provide grading and drainage planning in order to mitigate flood risk on the property. The applicant must landscape frontage fencing near both South Riverside Drive and Middle San Pedro Road and submit landscape planning to the Planning and Zoning Department. Applicant must allow access for sanitation and emergency services, including a 25+ foot easement and gate access to the property. And the applicant must follow all procedures under Chapter 294 in the Espanola Municipal Code, that is the subdivision ordinance. And that concludes my presentation. I'll hand it over to Mr. Fulgenzi.
Not yet.
Okay, thank you.
Because we do allow the commissioners to ask you questions, all right?
Thank you.
We'll go there first. So, but the one thing I want to make clear is the application that we received from Mr. Fulgenzi and submitted to you all is that there was going to be, there was a request for variance for a wall greater than 6 feet high, and also a rezoning request, and we're not going to be hearing those 2 today.
So it's my understanding that, so this kind of came into motion before my time here. And the advertisement that went out was respondent to the 6-lot subdivision only. So we will need to reissue notice for the other 2 elements of the case.
So you're going to be issuing a renotice, and then that will
Yes.
require another gathering to talk about
Those 2 elements.
Okay.
So because those are 2 separate elements that need to be advertised separately, because we're kind of coming in the middle of this, that's going to have to be heard separately. And I'll work with Mr. Fulgenzi.
Commissioner, Mr. Martinez. Please state your name.
I have a few questions. On this picture
Mhm.
that you have here, over here on this one, you're saying that ingress will be from the highway on San Pedro Road, and you're gonna have an ingress egress on the Little San Pedro Road.
I'm gonna yield, I'm going to put that question over to, Mr. Fulgenzi.
There will be an easement with the home where it's at 610 six
I'm
ten.
hard of hearing, sir.
There will be an easement that'll be along the home right there at 610. That'll come all the way to the back to the subdivision and continue all the way back to.
Did you say
Middle San
egress or ingress?
It'll be egress, ingress at this time. That's what we requested.
Put a picture up there of the property.
Yes, I have a
Do you
picture.
have that in your presentation?
There's a little further down.
This one?
Yeah, try that.
Mr. Bogosi,
Yes.
when I first saw this, I asked a couple of questions of, actually of Ms. Pedro before she left.
Uh-huh.
And she informed me that it would be a one-way street, that you'd be coming in on Middle San Pedro and exiting at the highway.
Right. The only traffic that will be coming in is emergency traffic. So
Emergency
But you
traffic.
have,
like fire engine, ambulance, they'll have access code.
but on your report, it says an ingress and egress of access in Middle San Pedro Road.
Yes,
So that's both ways.
from Middle San
In and out.
Pedro, it'll be in and out, yes.
Okay, so that's not what I was.
Okay, before you have
Okay.
50 points of three to get inside, it's only made two, okay?
Something like that.
Okay, he's not done yet, so we're going.
Did he?
Yeah, your point of,
I have a click pad on my mouse. What do you,
I just want to point at certain pieces of it, I can't reach it with the pen.
I don't have a pointer. You have
Okay,
a-
I'll get to it, too. I'm pretty good at talking anyway.
You have.
About a pointer?
Hey, can you mark this up?
Yes.
It's up.
Yes, I believe north is up.
He's-
There's north up.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Martinez. When we went to go view the property is 18 east
Okay.
and west.
Let's say.
I don't know.
East and west, yes.
Okay,
I don't know if this is gonna work out. Maybe.
sometimes the drivers on.
Right, yeah. That's not really- yeah.
Yeah,
You're saying that you're gonna have ingress from that street.
Riverside, right?
yeah,
Riverside.
I think,
Middle San Pedro.
Yes.
Some Pedro's
That's
bottom
Riverside.
and Riverside up top.
man, I'm
We-
gonna ask you to sit here. since you do that.
We submitted with the fact that we would have only emergency coming in from Riverside.
You didn't write that, Eric, you didn't write that in an application, did
We presented it
you?
with that, yes,
It just said ingress.
okay. It should have been the other way around. So we can
Have
do,
you talked to the highway department about destroying cement there and putting a new entrance on?
No, we
on that side?
no, we have not yet.
Because the entrance that turned out is in the middle. It's going.
Well, it's on the other side.
Oh.
No, it's all right.
It's on the other side of the house.
It just wasn't working out.
It's like there's a solid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's-
The entrance to that property, the entrance that all square that's empty in the middle. It's still on the end of the property. I have pictures of it if you want to see. them.
Right, no, I know where you're talking.
Okay. I think one of the reasons that the city has made this, study of the only committee is so that we're proud of our properties. And we're proud of where we're gonna be with them. And I know that since we're very interested in passing this, we're friends with the company long way. They're gonna help us, Mr. However, You say Ingress, Egress is a lot on Little San Pedro. We don't show where they are. Do you know anything about that road?
I travel the road, yeah, I know that much about it, but I'll entertain.
I used to be a school bus driver. I drove 57 years. One of the routes that I rode, that I drove was Little San Pedro. If you turn on the one side, I would have to take the parking lots all the way.
Mr. Martinez, I'm gonna be asking you to address your questions to the staff. This is the middle.
Well, he's been talking.
Okay, shut up.
Yeah.
That's.
Why?
Yes.
You can't do that.
Traffic from the west is very dangerous. It's usually just one lane.
Okay.
I want to know if you're going to recommend that the traffic that leaves this place goes east to get out on the San Pedro traffic light by Sonic. That's what I'm going to recommend to you.
Sorry, could you repeat that? As a recommend, JD, would you mind repeating? Did you catch that?
I can get
Repeat
it.
what you just said.
Don't worry.
What you're recommending, what you're gonna recommend, repeat it.
My recommendation is going to be to ask the residents there to go east on Little San Pedro to go to the traffic light. You have a lot of neighbors. Some of them are here. I'm sure they're concerned about someone hitting their car with their children in there. That is a very dangerous place to drive to the west of Little San Pedro from their properties. I want to make sure that Cisco's not going to have to worry about someone getting hit up. I would like to see your traffic go to the east to the traffic light by Sonic.
Mr. Chairman, I'm Elizabeth Martin. I'm your stenographer. It wasn't working for me to be on Zoom. I'll try and be here in person. But I'm so sorry, Commissioner, but I want to make sure I get what you said just as a distinct recommendation. You said you want to ask residents to go east on San Pedro? Middle San Pedro.
Middle San Pedro.
And you want his traffic to go where?
East.
Just San Pedro, which goes north and south. The road San Pedro goes. north.
That's his traffic or the resident traffic?
That particular traffic. of
The
this traffic.
subdivision.
The subdivision traffic. Okay, thank you, sir. I'm sorry. I just wanted to get caught up. I don't want to misquote you in the minutes.
Okay, that's right.
I just want to clarify for the people in the audience, usually these meetings are recorded, but because of the technical difficulty, it can be recorded for her to do the minutes. So she has to do them whole here, so it's gonna take us a little bit longer.
I'll keep up with you. I just came in at the middle and missed it, but I'll keep up with you. Yeah, thank you. And
Chaos.
I apologize.
I also apologize. I'm new to the chair, so I'm making mistakes too. So please bear with me, and I thank my commissioners for guiding me. Okay, is there any other questions from any other commission? Mr. Borrego.
Just the staff, and I also had some concerns about the language of the ingress and egress. As Mr. Commissioner Martinez just addressed, but the ingress from Riverside Drive, is that between the China Kitchen and the existing residence? That's what I'm
Correct.
thinking it is, right?
Mhm.
That's where you.
That's the easement.
That's where you would go into the subdivision. And then, of course, the other end is Middle San Pedro Road. And I'll ask when it's time to talk to Mr. Pogenzi. But staff, have you done any kind of a traffic impact study?
Staff has not conducted a traffic impact study that would be compatible as a condition of approval.
Because that, to me, is also a big concern for that area. That Middle San Pedro Road is not very wide. And, for the residents that live along that corridor, it just concerns me how much more traffic there would be there.
Mhm.
And then what I heard earlier was that the ingress off of Riverside Drive would be a one-way.
Yes.
Yes,
You can only go one way.
we were gonna set it up to only go out
I see.
through.
Okay, I just want to clarify that, or in my mind, it's clear. And then another question, is gonna, and I know we're not going to take any action on the variance for a fence. But I think staff, I heard you say that they were requesting a variance for an 8-foot fence. And some around the property is what you said. That's
So-
different than what the plan showed,
So,
which is just along the area of the Middle San Pedro Road. It shows a 8-foot fence request for that area, but around the property means the whole property. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm clear on. This is for staff and you'll have an opportunity.
so I think that would be an appropriate question to address during that variance hearing. For right now, we're just hearing the division of land, the 6-lot
All right,
division.
but I heard you say that it was around the
Yes.
property, so that's what I'm trying to get clear in my mind, whether it is around the property or it's,
And that could be a question during
All right.
Mr. Fulgenzi.
okay, that's it. Mr. Chairman.
Any other commissioners have any questions for staff? Okay, we're done. Next, we're gonna be talking to, letting Mr. Presenti do his presentation. But also, if there's anybody here that wants to speak for or against this project, you also all have to be sworn in. So all of you wishing to speak, please stand and I'll.
Mr. Just give him 3 minutes for each individual or something.
And you're all signed in as speakers. Right. And one of the things that we're gonna be allowing is made by Commissioner Chavez. We're gonna be allowing just a 3-minute presentation, except for Mr. Potensi, he's got to do his full presentation.
And Mr. Chair, when they come forward, they'll have to give their name and address.
Okay, so provide us with the name and address too, okay? So if you'll, please raise your right hand, please. You swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth. Yes. Thank you. Mr. Potensi, you're next. Now, which document that and you can put that.
Yeah, you do what you need to do.
Whenever set this up at the first page of this,
Okay.
See, well,
He wants it
we want
first
you to
page.
present the first page. please.
Oh, you're not.
Oh, yeah. You ready to type and sing?
Okay, which document are we be looking at? That was been saying this one. Large one, okay.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
My name's Garen Fulgenzi, Camelot Ventures LLC. I'm from New Mexico, northern New Mexico, originally grew up in Las Vegas, New Mexico, got my master's degree at Highlands University, real estate finance. I currently reside in Santa Fe, New Mexico, with my wife, who is from Espanola originally. And so we have recently purchased this property with the plan to do 6 homes, which basically gives you 12 cars at max. So we're not bringing in 100 cars to that. That's what I wanted to clarify first and foremost. A little bit about myself. I also own a mortgage company in Santa Fe. I've done real estate development for quite a while now. I've done one similar to this in Bernalillo off of Sheriff Fossey Road. We do a custom home project. Would bring a nice project to the valley for the community. I'm just going off. Here's a little bit about myself. So I'm active in the community with different programs and do a lot of donations and a lot of helping other people. We do rescue of dogs. My wife and I basically are involved in a lot of different programs. Like I said, I'm a native of New Mexico. This program here, what we're doing is going to be set up. We can go down to the next page. With the growing community here, the housing market is in dire need. My son works for DPS here. He's been trying to buy a home here. Has had 6 offers on homes and can't seem to get a home. Quality people deserve quality product, and that's what we're trying to bring here. I think there's a lot of people here that can utilize our product, not only to mention the surrounding areas of this.
Here's a little breakdown on the report for jobs in the area. Los Alamos National Laboratory is hiring additional people. The average, I think it's 35% of the employees there live in Los Alamos County. The rest are in the surrounding area, Santa Fe and Espanola. The housing in Santa Fe has gotten way overpriced and lack of it. And so this is the product that we're trying to bring in for various people. Here's an aerial view of the property as we discussed. Originally, we set this up. We have the property in front of the home that's been in my wife's family for 3 years, and that home will remain where it's at. We will do an easement on the side of the property of 30-foot easement that allow the traffic to come in. Originally, we had set this up with only an exit off the main road for basically safety of it, okay, for emergency vehicles to be able to come in. It will be a gated community, so it will be limited traffic. You won't be able to just drive right through it. So you won't have traffic coming in and out. We will open it up if the city would rather have it ingress, egress, we can accommodate that accordingly. So again, like I said, it's 6 homes. The average square footage of these homes are 2,500 square feet. So it's going to be a smaller family home, 1/4 acre size with a nice yard for the people of this. Now with the subdivision and the wall that we talked about, it's gated. We're going to do a gated from both sides. The wall we were looking at just having a variance for right by the hotel. We could go up enough to cover some of the hotel and make it a little bit more attractive. It will be a nice cafe colored wall block that we will be using. If that's something that's not acceptable, we can go ahead and put in trees that would grow high enough to cover that as well. So those are just some of the things that we're looking at. This is the type of home that we'd be building. We build custom homes with a lot of nice features. And I think that this would be a nice product for the community. Middle San Pedro, I think would, look nice with this type of product. If you go on to the next page, this is stuff we built in Bernalillo, a subdivision out there. And just to give you an idea of what kind of quality work we're doing. If we go on to the next one here, some inside pictures, some back patio pictures, bedroom pictures, or just the quality stuff that we were doing. Again, these are different homes were built in Bernalillo. As you can see, the type of quality that we were in. So I'm just here to basically go over this, and what we've done is purchase the property. Our plans are create the subdivision, get an approval. We would be looking to break ground and have the first home done very quickly. We'd like to have this project done with the 6 homes. Again, it's only 6 homes within a 24-month period of time. Now, as owning a mortgage company, I can offer construction financing to individuals of the community, which would allow them to get into a home very easily. We can either build to their specs and tweak it to some of the qualities that they would want in the home, keeping along the same lines of what we're doing here. And that basically my presentation in a nutshell.
Any questions for Mr. Dennison from the commissions?
Yeah.
Mr.
Mr. Pogrenzi, and I'm sorry if I butchered your name, I don't mean to. As everybody in this room knows, I'm actually a fairly close neighbor. I'm not abutting the property, but I've lived all my life in the same neighborhood. So I'm very familiar with this area. And I do have a couple of questions. First of all, I think it's a great project. Those look like really great homes, and I'd love to see, that kind of homes going up in our neighborhood. But I do have some concerns, and we're just dealing with the fact today. So one of them is the traffic. Again, as I had mentioned earlier, I was told that it was going to be basically a one-way, that people would come in from Middle San Pedro and exit out to the highway. As Mr. Martinez says, our Middle San Pedro road is not in the greatest shape. And I don't see it really improving in anywhere in the near future. Part of that problem is it's half city, half town. So, so that is a concern for me. And 6 houses means at a minimum 12 cars coming a couple of times a day. And I did, like I say, in the back of there's a lot of traffic. So I would like to see that one-way reinstituted. I mean, that's not, I can't tell you to do that. But it's something that I'd like to see happen if possible. The other one I'm concerned about also is that this is irrigated land. What are you gonna do with the water rights?
We're gonna bank them.
You're gonna bank them, okay, because traditionally all the surrounding neighbors use their water rights. So, we don't want them to get interrupted. at any
No,
time.
we will be banking them.
Okay, and then, let's see. Well, we'll deal with the other portion again, I am very cognizant that some of this land is commercial, some of it is residential. Do you know how much is residential? Is it just that 1.5 and then the rest is,
It's all residential. The home in front is residential.
no, not,
No, but it's been grandfathered in as a residential property for years.
I have property that we left over and mine has never been grandfathered in. Has anything been grandfathered in?
I would have to look up the individual case file and the land agreements.
Yeah, because I know, most of our houses were there way before the zoning came in the 1960s. So I realize that, but like I say, in terms of my personal property, we have, I think it's like 200 feet back is commercial, and then the rest is residential.
This property, all I know is it's been in my wife's family for 100 years. It's not more. I don't know. And it's been a residential home in front the entire time.
Yeah, but the zoning is a little bit different. Anyway, so yeah, we will have to see about that. Otherwise, I wish you luck, and I know that the neighbors do have some concerns, and they'll voice them, and hopefully we can all work together to make this a very nice area. So I think those are my questions.
Two things. I am happy that somebody can to develop nice homes in the area. My children who work at Island and homes. So, the other concern, or I guess question for you would be, could you potentially do an ingress, egress on the property, you come in one side and out the other, rather than using that lower San Pedro Road, and only on your subdivision, wall off that back road, and you guys just come in and have the cul-de-sac or turn around or some point there when you come out, and all of your access points are on some riverside.
The cul-de-sac would cut into the property lot itself. We looked at that and it didn't make it really feasible for the additional lot.
What about just a roundabout in there where your residents, and a lot of the subdivisions in Santa Fe right now are just using roundabouts where they're, right in the middle of the subdivision, they have a roundabout.
Again, a simple road takes up only so much space and basically cost efficient for 6 lots. It's a small subdivision. So it makes it tough to.
They don't need it because anybody hopefully that will be traveling will be going to their own lot.
Right.
I don't think they would need a turnaround.
Right.
Tell you the truth.
So just up on that other property, when you're gonna have the insurance anyway, on the other side of that, you can have an exit. I mean, if it comes down to the highway department not letting you use that little road, that might be one of the options.
Yes, Mr. Martinez.
The fact that you're building these beautiful homes here in the valley is really, really good. I'm sure that all the neighbors are gonna love that, because all their properties are gonna go up in valley. I'm a big believer. My only argument is the traffic. That's it.
Thank you.
I'm concerned about that traffic issue also. I don't know if you could mitigate, some of the properties, so if you might look at a roundabout or a way to, create proper ingress and ingress and egress out to the main road, to Riverside Drive. So that it doesn't impact that middle road. It's pretty treacherous there when you meet up with another vehicle. there's a ditch.
Well, we would be bringing back, so there'll be enough space to drive out and be able, you won't just come right on.
Well, no, I know that, but it still creates traffic. I mean, there's a ditch that runs right along the side of the property where I think cars just, you know, not pay too much attention, and ended up with part of the car in that ditch. That's a big issue of concern, I think, probably for the neighbors that live there. I don't know, we'll hear from them in a minute, but if, you know, there was some way that you could mitigate that. And it's concerning to me, you haven't even approached the highway department for the availability to have a.
My engineering firm will be going after that once we get preliminary to get, you know, basically that approved. So,
Yeah, but I think that would be a big concern for myself in this commission, to understand how that would work. Yeah. There's big issues for me. I mean, the houses are beautiful. I think, you know, if it can be worked out for, you know, you're not disturbing the neighborhood too much and the traffic, is mitigated. But all those properties around that area are gonna increase in value. But they live there, these people live there every day. I mean, I go through there, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes they've got the lower San Pedro Road or the upper San Pedro Road blocked. They've been doing paving and what have you. I'll go around and come out in the middle road, and it's just something that I'd be real concerned about. That and the proper fencing, you know, when you look at that variance. I'm still not clear on that.
again, and this is not the time for, obviously, but I'm just gonna
Right.
reiterate the point. It's 6 homes, 12 cars gated, so.
But it's always more than 12 cars, because you don't know how many cars, you know, I have 4 cars and
Right,
myself and the wife.
but part of that is the wall that we're gonna build was gonna be a 6-foot wall. I'm only asking for an 8-foot around the hotel area.
And you're talking about the length of the property,
He's only talking probably about,
or you're talking just the actual hotel
It's just
itself?
the actual hotel,
I see.
just basically blocks of the hotel. View from the.
And then in the plans that were presented, you're also talking about a wall on the middle San Pedro
It'll be a wall with a gate, with a gate.
with a gate.
Uh-huh.
Also, 8 feet high.
No. No. The only place we're looking to get, and if it's, if that's, I mean, we don't have to do an 8-foot wall. We can do trees. We can do a different way of blocking the hotel itself.
Right, okay.
But it's just that simple area.
Yeah, no, basically, like my colleagues here, you know, I'm concerned about the traffic. I'm sure if we give and take, we can make this work. I like it's gated, which is, you know, secure and safe. But again, the ingress type of situation, if we could work something out in that area. Beautiful homes, and I'm glad to see Espanola, you know, getting these beautiful homes and moving forward. We need housing.
Okay, Mr. Potensi, Bill Salazar. I got a question. You were saying emergency vehicles will be coming in from the Riverside Drive by China Kitchen and by the Montreal, right?
That's what our plan was to really offer that ability.
There's also some GM knowledge of there, what's fire department provide services there that looks like little?
no, within the city.
It's-
I guess you would say the northern part, the northern side of Middle San Pedro Road is in the city. And then the other side is in the county. That's why I say the Middle San Pedro Road is kind of a no man's land.
Okay, my only concern is, you know, let's say large fire trucks, if you get into that property, you think they're gonna have anything up? For on state,
Yeah, 30-foot easement should be.
okay. So those, and they will be made aware that the entrance for emergency vehicles are gonna be going through that gate and not through the middle road.
Right, right. But it would be done to set up, the gate would have a special key for fire and rescue to be able to access it.
Right, exactly.
And like for trash and stuff. like
Yeah,
that.
things of that nature.
And you'll be addressing all those issues with the fire department, you'll be making the fire department aware.
That will be part of the recommendations is fire as well.
And the other emergency, and with the. also-
Emergency, all emergency
Right,
services and
waste
sanitation.
authority, or the city waste authority, the whole bit, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, just wanna make sure that all those spaces are covered, like. Also, with Mr. Commissioner Borrego mentioned about, you know, working in the highway department, that's right, what they have to do, they gotta work with all the agencies. And that's what we're addressing.
Okay, so Mr. Chairman, just one follow-up question. On the easement, on the fence line between China Kitchen and the existing house, what's the width of that area there
That, I believe, to the house itself,
to the house?
it's probably 40 feet.
Well, it depends, the house.
Yeah, the house has a jar, but
Yeah, no, I know the house well.
It's probably about 50-some feet from the tiny kitchen fence to the first,
To the wall or
to the wall on
the house?
But
Okay, so you have more than 30 feet, or is that what you're saying?
Right.
Okay,
Any other questions? Yeah. Okay, dokie, folks, now we're gonna start allowing people to come up and either voice the comments they have. If you need to address them to Mr. Potencio and he make himself available for that. We are going to allow for 3 minutes. Who's gonna keep the timing time for somebody wants to. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we need the first person who's gonna come up and speak. You can come up to the podium, state your name and address.
Hello, everybody. My name is Frank Maestas, 515 Middle San Pedro Road. The traffic on the Middle Road is, yes, treacherous. But like Roland said, he uses it when he doesn't have to. Or when the roads are blocked around the sides. Today's traffic, this week's traffic has been treacherous. There's cars going and coming, and there's a 10-mile-an-hour speed limit on that road. No one bothers to follow that rule. No one uses the stop signs that I fought with the state to have installed at both ends of that road. They just blow past them. Now, there's some enforcement issues that the city has to take and do something about. The county, the Indians have, the Santa Clara Indians have had an officer posted sometimes at the stoplight, at the stop sign on the lower road. But, you know, the enforcement on that road is just a problem. It's not such a detriment to the residents. I think it's a red herring that everybody brings up that it's a dangerous road. It is if you're careless. It is if the intersections at either end of the state highway are closed because people use that middle road, which they shouldn't be doing, in my opinion, as an easy access to the upper road or the lower road. Traffic going in both directions. And like Roland said, the ditch runs right along the side of the road. That's a major irrigation channel. You can't put a big old culvert in that thing, at least not financially feasible. But even if you did, you probably couldn't put a road over it. But that road has to be worked on by the city, and you know, even though they claim that part of it is county road, the city owns parts of on the north side and the south side. It's not the city. The city doesn't own it, but it's in the city limits. So you know, it's just hodgepodge. And that road does need work, but it is a red herring. I think it's not a valid argument as to not allowing ingress and egress.
Mr. Maestas, I took a ride the other day to the road too, so we could go look at the property. And there are.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just as rules of order, proper rules of order, you, when you're having public comment, you can't engage,
I'm sorry.
Okay.
But I'm just, thank you. Okay.
except to thank them. I'm
But
sorry.
there are speed bumps on that road. If I'm, yes, there are.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Is it
Thank you.
okay?
that's okay.
Yeah.
We're all new.
No, I
You can
know.
guide us.
Maybe we should have. them.
Okay, so we state your
I
name.
have started by-
My name is Richard Martinez. I don't live on the street, but I represent Mary Louise Borrego and her daughter Kathleen, my wife. Who lives within a stone throw. I'm a civil engineer registered in Mexico, registration number 10891. And so I'll make this quick, but in the development, so tentative plat process per chapter 350. A development plan is required, correct? These are questions that they.
Yes,
Which
for all
on the
of
site plan, are there CCNRs which are covenants, conditions and restrictions required?
Sure.
Okay, can I ask questions? I just want to make comments then.
Yes, sir, just comments. It's
Okay.
just, that's the way the Open
Oh.
Meetings Act works. I'm sorry.
So just real quick, so during the development plan process, I've been development engineer in Southern Arizona. Site plan requirements, which are CCNRs, their covenants, conditions and restrictions. The plan shows 25 feet as an easement, but Mr. Prudenci states 30 foot, so there needs to be some clarification needed on that. 25 plus, 25 plus, okay, so,
Sir,
okay, all right, so. Can we just request clarification on that? And then require in the final plat process, a traffic impact study. Because the turning movements onto the Middle San Pedro Road, generally what they do is it includes an ADT, which is an average daily trips. Either onto Middle San Pedro Road or onto the highway. And so there will also be height restriction considerations. There should be outdoor lighting restrictions, parking restrictions. In other words, the vehicles, the 12 that are mentioned, and then maybe some mobile homes, boats, other types of vehicles. Middle San Pedro Road has Santa Clara Pueblo claims and restrictions on it that may be needed to be identified. And then the additional vehicles. The drainage currently, the retention, there's about 100% retention on site because it's all earth. With improvements of paving, sidewalks and rooftops. My estimate is approximately 50% plus of on-site, off-site flows. So there should be possibly a retention consideration for that, which I'm certain is part of the drainage report. Yards and setbacks, I think you guys have identified. Height construction. So one thing to consider, can't tell you how to do your development. But because of the number of vehicles entering and leaving the site, you don't need a cul-de-sac. That would be in excess of 150 vehicles, I think, per day. And it's less than that. So the 30-foot ingress egress off of the main highway would be recommended with what I've seen is a gate at the south end with a lock. And then the fire department, police department would come in and they use bolt cutters in emergency cases. So the one way in, one way out, the pork chop configuration at the roadway onto the highway will probably be in the best interest of the residents. So those are my concerns or my questions. I'd like to see them adopted or at least considered. And then of course, per chapter 350, design, construction and maintenance requirements, which I'm certainly going to be addressed. And then 3 minutes. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Very well done.
Could be next to speak, please, podium, please. State your name and address, please.
I guess the question is, I'm allowed to ask the question. How much of that 1.5 acres is within the R6 and the RB2?
and you're not, I'm sorry, you can only make comments.
So that's part of the problem is that you're not allowed to put residential, you have residences on it unless they were grandfathered in. Now, my other question is, right now I got people that turn into my driveway to let another car go through and cars me up in front of my house. The widest point on that road is probably 20 feet farther on the south side. Where we're at, it might be 18, 15 feet at some point. And like you said before, we have a gates before. My concern also is what's gonna happen with the water retention that's flowing off the property. It's a 30-foot easement. You have curb and gutter, paved road, sidewalk. That reduces the size of the road to probably 3 feet on the curb and gutter, 4 feet for sidewalk. That's reducing that road to probably to another 7 feet. So you got an 18-foot road. If you have curb and gutter on both sides. And they're proposing to only have 8-foot wall or 6-foot wall as far as the hotel is concerned. What about the other residents that have homes that are going to be affected by the lights filtering and coming into the property to the car light shining into the bedroom? So if they're gonna put a fence, it should be slatted or something to protect the houses from the lights and the vehicles, or it should be a wall. And I don't see why you can't put a wall. Right now, what we're saying is
And not to knock down Mr. Fugenzi, I agree that the houses are going to be nice homes. But what I think that's going on here is when he was asked if there was going to be a cul-de-sac at the end or anything like that, he referenced that it wasn't economically feasible. There's still an economic thing for them to put, if they can still, I don't know what their profit margin is going to be, but I don't see why they cannot get, enough room for cars to turn around. And most people buying that kind of home, maybe don't have just 2 cars, some more people don't have an RV. You know, who's got an RV, and I don't believe they had a fire down below at the adjacent property a couple of years ago. Fire department had to stop on the main high on Middle San Pedro Road and Park so that they could address the situation with the fire. So those are issues that we have to look at, and I'm not against the subdivision, but I think it needs to be planned a lot better than what we're seeing right now. Thank you.
I'd like to make a point of clarification for our host taker. You're saying that we can't have, that we can only make comments. Well, it's provided with this document and this seawall, and it's called the quasi.
Judicial, yes.
Right. And it says in here that, you know, staff and neighbors can question, either the people, or they can ask questions, or either staff or the applicant too.
That,
And you can all pass it down, so you can read it.
well, you can make the ruling, sir, but the Open Meetings Act forbids that.
Okay, that's the open meetings act, but this is a planning and zoning.
Yes, sir. No, I know, but you're subject to the Open Meetings Act as well.
I understand, but I'm reading the document that was presented to me, and it's saying that, okay, so it's completed on my part. Okay, does anybody else want to do a presentation?
For, or against.
Please state your name and address, please.
My name is Debbie Salazar. I live on 601 Middle San Pedro Road. I'm going to be one of the neighbors that's going to be right next to this housing. I drive an activity bus. And so I move it into my property and out of my property. And when I have to meet up with the traffic going back and forth in the mornings when they're going to work or coming back from work, it's pretty treacherous, just like we're all complaining about. But my question is, basically with the fencing, you're gonna be right next to my house. Is that gonna be a backyard? Is that gonna be in front of the house? What's that gonna be? Ask that question.
Actually, if you're moving next to the road.
The road's gonna be going through there.
Right, the road will let you in.
Oh. So in that case, I prefer that 8-foot wall. If it's gonna be that close to my fence line. Because, I mean, there goes my privacy, basically. And, I don't know, that's my concern right there. With the privacy and the wall, I know we're not supposed to bring that up, but that was one of my concerns. How far is that road going to be from the fence line?
Right,
No,
the
you're-
fence that's gonna be, I think it's a 3-foot.
Not supposed to do that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, no, I think he's ruled that you can do it. Excuse me.
I said we can address some of these questions after.
You can tell those counselors that I have this question and then they can address it and get your answer.
I have this
That's what this
question.
says too. That's what this says as well.
How far is the road going to be from the fence line?
Are you writing that question down, my school?
Yes, I have it in the minutes too.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, and my last question actually too is, how are you going to make the residential?
Gentlemen, would you keep your voices
Yeah.
down?
I can't pick up what they're saying if everybody,
Mr. Maestas, would you please stop your conversation? Thank you.
thank you. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. How are you going to make that one way enforceable, exactly. Because you come out of that gate, you go into that gate, you come out of the road, whatever. A lot of those residents are gonna come out of that Middle San Pedro Road and go the opposite direction. They're gonna go to the west side. They're not gonna go all the way east. So I don't know how you're gonna make the residents just use the one way.
My name is Scott Eastman. I live at 619 Middle San Pedro. And we will be the neighbors directly to the east of the project. And I want to thank the commission for recognizing the major issue of the traffic on Middle San Pedro. It is so narrow and there is so much traffic and some people drive very courteously, others don't. So I would like to support Mr. Martinez's recommendation for the one-way in and out on Riverside Drive. And also the other lady who just spoke, I'm concerned about the privacy fencing and screening and security on our border with you. And would like to see at least a 6-foot wall or even the 8-foot wall continue along that whole stretch on your entire eastern border of the project to protect our security and our interests. And I would also like to know what the price point of the properties are. I fully support the project like everybody here. I think I would much rather look at beautiful homes than roadway in. It will increase our property values and I think it's great for the community, but that traffic issue and our continued quality of life is very important to us. Thank you.
Hello, Steve Martinez, 403 Middle San Pedro. I'd like to make a comment because my father is 83 years old. He walks Middle San Pedro every single day. And my neighbors can attest to this. The residents of 403 Middle San Pedro, we are respectful and courteous in driving on that, but we're cautious. The enforcement, as Mr. Maestas mentioned, is the problem. You know, the city needs to enforce the restrictions on that road in terms of speed limit and people running stop signs. I drive very cautiously, as I'm sure do all of our neighbors. I think this is a great economic development for our community. And I think that we can get past some of the issues in terms of easements in and out of the property. But again, we need enforcement on 403 Middle San Pedro. We shouldn't be criticizing each other. We all are very respectful and driving cautiously on that road. I think that is the issue, is enforcement of 403 Middle San Pedro Road. And I think we can work out the in and out issues. Hopefully you folks can do all that. So thank you for everyone, especially my neighbors, my community members that are here. Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of the County Commission, thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Jeff Archuleta. I'm representing my dad. He lives in 617A Middle San Pedro, which is east, right next to the property of Mr. Jennings' lands. And I have a same tract of land, 608 Riverside Drive, and the same tract of land that we further up towards the residents of that same property. My concerns are we should have one ingress egress in Riverside Drive because you know the traffic is the key topic here. We have our neighbor here that likes to walk her dog every single day, 2 or 3 times a day, and she has to be walking, right? So it's very hazardous. Last year, a girl came around the corner right past the Salazar's here and ran the pole right at the property where you're going to build. You know, that's just how fast people drive on that road. The ingress egress road that you're planning is probably wider than Middle San Pedro Road. You know, so it's a hazard. It's dangerous. I would recommend a one-way in, one-way out through Riverside Drive. That's Mr. Martinez referenced as a 4th way in and out. And an emergency entrance through the back only. People have fallen in that ditch plenty of times. We got drug dealers almost right across the property that the cops don't tend to, which is an issue. And they come through your property, Frank. You see them across the fence there all the time. I would recommend an 8-foot fence all the way around that property. There's not one subdivision as nice as you want to make it that I haven't seen an 8-foot wall all around that subdivision. Out of respect to all the neighbors, especially Miss Salazar, that you're going to be right up against her house. I recommend an 8-foot fence all the way around that property. I mean, a wall. And those are my recommendations. And maybe even cut down one house to give more room for the emergency vehicles to turn around through there. Maybe make the backside of that property a parking spot for people that come in with RVs. If they want to have an RV, make that designated spot down there, that we have a little bit more space to park. I think 6 houses is excessive. I would say maybe 5 or 4 houses would be sufficient for there. That's my recommendations.
My name is Ted Salazar, 119 San Pedro, Debbie Salazar, my daughter. I'm having question marks to myself. You're talking about a fence, or you're talking about a wall? I think they are to let us have the same concern that Jeff just mentioned. Is it I would recommend, or I would think that a block wall, 6, 8 feet high, all the way around the property would suffice. Another concern that I would have is urban gutter, sidewalks. Where's this water going to go? Traffic. Abuse enforced. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments? Come to board, state your name and address.
I didn't swear myself in, so I'm not
Oh,
gonna
I'm
do that
sorry.
already. Because I wasn't planning. to.
Somebody has a document. Thank you.
Make sure.
Okay, okay, do you swear to affirm the testimony you will give will be the truth?
I do. So my name is Maya Dewar, and I'm at 705 Middle San Pedro. And, yeah, just to echo another comment, we've been talking a lot about traffic, absolutely, and that road barely can accommodate the traffic currently going through it. And I just also want to raise the issue of pedestrians, because not only me, but other people walk on that road. There are no sidewalks on that road. So, as other people have noted, cars are barreling down there, trucks are barreling down there. So to have an influx of at least 12 more cars, also for pedestrian safety, I just want to flag that as an issue as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I say one more comment about traffic? Go ahead, please, real quick. Just to also mention, there have been semis that go down Middle San Pedro Road, and I'm sure Teeny has probably seen semis. What's a semi even doing down Middle San Pedro Road? That is too big of a vehicle to be going down a residential property. And now that they're paving, that's a shortcut. It's a shortcut to go through there. Not only when they're doing construction, if there's a traffic, Fridays are a mess. People use that road as a shortcut. Good Friday, that road is like a freeway. And if you wanna go take a ride down Middle San Pedro, pass in front of my dad's house, look at his white fence. It's all wrecked because people just crash into it. That's how fast people drive through there. And more cars coming out of the backside of this property that they want to develop is going to be even more hazardous.
Can I make a statement?
No, you can come back.
I was just gonna make a quick statement, the road itself, maybe looking at a weight limit on that road. Vehicles over a certain weight limit would not be allowed on that road, might be something to consider.
Okay, Mr. Chair, can he address concerns?
Pardon me?
I think that's-
Hold on. We can't.
We did do
that.
Who's gonna institute the weight limit? The state, the federal, the city, the county. That's the problem that you have with that middle road. Okay, who's gonna institute it? This problem.
You can address it to this individual.
Oh, I'm addressing it, everybody says here.
I was told that, Mr. Prudence would like to address some of the issues that were brought up, so that you think.
And you can do that, but you can't question the folks who,
Brought up the questions.
you can't,
Do you have a question?
you can't cross-examine the folks. That would be the best. Close the public hearing and then go back to him.
Mr. Chairman, just before we do that, before you address it, I just have one
So we can't talk to him during the.
No, I'm not gonna talk to him.
Okay.
I'm just gonna ask a question of the people in the audience. How many of you are in favor of this project if they were to mitigate all of these concerns? Because what I'm hearing is most of the people here that have spoke are not against this project. They just have concerns about traffic and egress and maybe walls and privacy, which I think are legitimate concerns. But I don't think I heard anybody really speak against the project. So I just want to, and you did show of hands, so that's for my opinion.
Commissioner Borrego, thank you very much for that question. It was great. Thank you all for responding.
If there's nobody else, you would close the public hearing.
Okay, I would like to close the public hearing and we can then allow Mr. Bojangles to speak at this time. Direct me, people. I mean,
I hope you don't mind me.
No.
Okay.
You're doing a good job.
Okay.
Mr. Fulton, answer some of the questions that the audience had asked, and I wrote some of them.
Sure.
From Miss Debbie Salazar, how many feet is the road from the wall? That you.
It's gonna be adjacent to the wall, so it's probably gonna be a 4 foot, 5 foot of distance from the wall.
Oh,
I'm sorry, what's the distance again?
4 to 5
4 to
feet.
5 feet.
4 to 5 feet?
And then also from Ms. Salazar, how are you gonna make one-way enforceable? So if you're only coming in, how are you gonna make that enforceable on your property? If you want to come in from Riverside and exit through Middle Sun Pedro Road, how would you make that enforceable?
The gate is programmable.
So it would only open.
You
From the
can program it to according to how you want the traffic to. The rest.
Okay, Mr. Martinez had asked you about, and I asked also this about, this is gonna be a nice subdivision. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Will you have covenants and restrictions on it?
Yes.
Will,
Yeah.
okay. Of course, like again, the traffic impact study, I think is very much needed. And I am concerned about the drainage plan also, because I really have thought about it, but it's right. I mean, right now, it's dirt. But once you pave and have houses on it, the water's gonna have to go somewhere. And again, as I said, I'm a neighbor and, the Archuletas probably wouldn't be impacted too much because their lot, the way, Little San Pedro is, for some reason, it seems like the farther you go down, our lots go down, down, down. In fact, this is my assistant tell you, if they overwater, I get the water because I'm next door. It flows right into my yard. So the water that's gonna come off the subdivision is probably gonna go into Debbie's yard
Sure.
and to the hotel and stuff.
And to the road.
And to the road and the ditch. And that's another problem altogether. As I said, that water is used for many people to irrigate the roads, through, you know, all that kind of thing. Again, as a neighbor, I have people get pulled out of the ditch across from my house at least 2 or 3 times a summer. That's when I hear them because I have my windows open. But they fall in the ditch at least 2 or 3 times every summer. So again, they say, you know, it's very narrow. And so, yeah, I think the prime concern, and I know we're not hearing it tonight, but will be the wall. And one of the things I'd like to see is right now you're only planning to probably do it alongside, as you said, the hotel. I think to keep future peace with all the neighbors, you need to plan on doing it at least on both of the long sides. Because good fences make good neighbors. So, you know,
Now, I got a question. Being that the wall's gonna be on both sides, do I have neighbors that are willing to participate in the safety and paying for part of the wall?
that's not.
Yeah. That is a good question.
Probably if you give them half of the proceeds of the.
The subdivision.
Again, you know, I'm really heard having a roundabout or anything, because again, you know, especially if you only have interest and interest maybe from the highway, the only people using that side will be the people themselves. You know, but yeah, if you have gates on either side or it's open to either side, people are gonna pass by. It happens at my house too. Because I'm on the middle road and our road comes all the way up to the highway. So those are my concerns. At this point, like I say, I would move to approve the plat with certain conditions.
Mr.
I
Chairman,
think,
Yeah, but then one.
I just wanted to say there was one other question from the public group. Do you have it? The price point? Okay, sorry.
Mr. Peterson wants to know what the price point is of the homes that you plan to build.
It'll be priced at a market rate. So right now, we're looking between $650,000 and $750,000.
Which I'll make the comment, that's way overpriced.
Our
Let's
market
see.
study shows that it's not out of the realm for 6 homes. Now, if I was building 300 of them, okay.
I have one comment. There was one comment that was made. Would you consider reducing the number of homes that you would build? There was a comment made about, maybe 5 homes instead of 6.
It doesn't get cost efficient to do that. I mean, you better off going commercial, putting an RV park in there. I mean, it just doesn't, the cost to put the walls in, to do the infrastructure, to build these quality of homes, it's gotta be worthwhile. And only doing 6 of them, the cost of that improvements, gotta be split between 6, not 100. So, I mean, it just doesn't get feasible.
I just, that's like question to.
yeah, no, so obviously it's gonna be paved, we're gonna have sidewalks,
Ma'am,
it's gonna be paved, right? You're gonna have sidewalks. Tell me a little bit about the ponding and the lighting.
We have met with some of your departments there in the number of homes in the water catch. They've come up with a plan that we may need a catch,
Detention pond?
catch pond, yeah.
Hedge pond,
Small catch
okay,
pond, but based on the number of roofs and the amount of water out of it. And the fact that we only have one road, not a lot of driveways, it's not gonna be like.
but you got proper ponding to
Yeah,
catch the water
right.
sufficient for all those homes, it's gonna be paved. How about the lighting, any type of lighting?
The lighting, I am, based on the quality of what we're trying to do, it's gonna be a soft lighting, so it's probably an old fashioned type of street light. It's gonna be a subtle light. And my concern with lighting is the whole town next door, their big lights that they have there are just extreme. So, I mean, lighting, probably.
Yeah,
at least
not
a-
additional lighting
Yeah.
that will, impact the neighbors, whatever, okay. And so are you willing to do an 8-foot fence if needed? I'm not talking about all around the property wall.
It is gonna be a wall, and I will take that under advisement. Again, the minimum requirement is a 6 foot. We talked about doing an 8 foot at certain areas, but we'll take that under advisement.
Okay, great, okay, let's see what else. And one way, you're also willing to consider that, just
We
a
would-
one-way ingress,
We would take that under advisement as far as maybe looking at one way in from San Pedro
and
and maybe
out.
out and coming into the other side. I mean, again, it's gonna have to be ran through the engineering portion and determining all of the, what's next.
And then to determine that it's truly in effect, the gate opens only one way to allow people in, not out of that same
Yeah, it
gate.
could be programmed.
Something like a programmed, okay. Thank you, that's all the questions I have.
Yeah, just to answer some of the questions, here's a home, it's a used home in Escondido, $700,000. So I don't think we're at that one.
Sir.
It's got 0.44 of the service.
Sir, you're addressing your comments to the commissioners, please.
So here's a home that's listed here, 700,000, it's a used home, older home, 0.44 of an acre at $700,000. So our price range is not out.
Yeah,
One
well,
last question for me. So these houses, are they gonna be all built on this, let's say, on the south side of the?
Yes.
of the property?
All right,
Because the road's gonna be on the north side.
that's correct, yes, sir.
one more. Are these custom homes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No, I basically indicated you can get that price, great.
Okay.
Commissioner Salazar, permission for staff questions.
Yes.
Quick question for you. So we kind of, we have this ongoing conversation of the city and, in my last couple of weeks here, it's been a big part of our dialogue is maintenance of private drives. It's a shared easement. It's a big part of access for sanitation and emergency services. And I'm sure you've come in to this before in your other projects. What is the discourse of how you manage that private drive, how you manage that shared easement?
Well, okay, there's gonna be an HOA with the handling of the property within its.
Okay.
But when we met the other day, there was a quick meeting, you guys requested that the utilities of the road be transferred over to the city.
Okay.
So I'm assuming by transfer to the city would take
It
responsibility.
would, yeah, it would be dedicated to the city for city maintenance, in which the city would need act code access. For that. Okay, thank you for
Okay.
clarifying.
Sure.
Guilty, any other
I got just for my clarification, what's the distance from the road to from the front of the main road?
Riverside.
Riverside to the middle sometime, what's that?
The length of the whole property, uh,
It's 1.54 acres, something like that.
1.5 something.
1.5473.
So an acre, well,
The-
let's see what the length is.
and I have it in,
Yeah.
four hundred eighty-nine linear feet, I believe is what it comes out to.
489,
Yeah, that's what I wrote it, based on our calculation.
well, let's say 500 feet, linear feet.
Yes.
I don't think he's copying the first house probably.
Okay, any other questions? Are you still with that answer?
Was it 600 feet then, or
It's approximately.
approximately? Okay.
Okay. It's closed.
No. Anything else? Are there any other questions?
You can-
Martinez.
No, sir.
Okey dokey, no more questions. We had already closed the public comments, so there was no more public comments. So we're gonna be closing this, we're gonna, entertain a motion and, I will. I could have waited for the seawall to come back in, so she can also motion the motion.
What?
Good.
Right here.
Oh, you're there, I'm sorry.
So you're,
Okay, you can sit down, sir.
We're gonna make a motion.
Yes, I will make a motion for approval of this plat with certain, conditions. Number one being that we do look at a traffic plan. And, then of course that the applicant also gets approval from the DOT for, egress, ingress off of Riverside Drive. I would like to also make sure that, the water rights are taken care of. And basically, at this point, that, they also comply with all the restrictions from the city of Sonoma. And then we'll revisit the other conditions when they come back for the other uses.
I second the motion.
Motion made by Ms. Bustos. Second by Ms. Quinn. Is there any questions? Anybody?
Commissioner, if I may, I just want to make sure that the minutes reflect, the conditions really clearly so we can implement them as part of the plan. So as far as the traffic plan, we're talking about ingress, egress.
And after, and also, the traffic count to see if it
Traf-
is
And impact,
workable to go onto Middle San Pedro Road or not.
okay, so we need a traffic. Impact analysis, and we need. Okay, and then an ingress and egress plan. And then the second recommendation was water rights.
Mr. Pogloski, indicated, I'm sorry, I hope I was gonna ruin the name. Indicated that he was gonna be banking the water, right?
Okay, so working with the associated.
Because they're very picky about putting them on the ditch.
So work with the affiliated ditch association.
Could you provide the, who my appointment that's good?
The sanitary irrigation district,
My estimates.
but they go to the sanitary irrigation district.
Santa Cruz, is that what you said?
And then third is compliance with all of the requirements for subdivision. Subdivision under site-built homes. Oh, you wanted to add that as well? Because that wasn't part of the,
I think that's what it indicated here.
that was part of the staff recommendations of approval.
So it would be the same.
Yes, okay.
Any other? Anything else to see?
Okay, City of Espanola.
Before I call for the vote, okay?
And the only other question I had was, I think we can address at the variance hearing. Is
Dealing with wall or.
when we'll be dealing
And
with,
zoning.
with laws.
We'll have clarification.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm clear.
You're clear?
Thank you.
I'm not, but go ahead. I'm glad somebody
Clear.
is. Okay, we're gonna have a roll call vote on this.
Gonna do the roll
Did
call.
you do it?
So please call
I
roll.
can. Commissioner Bustos,
Yes.
Commissioner Gwynn, Commissioner Martinez,
In favor.
Commissioner Borrego,
For,
Commissioner Chavez,
For the motion.
Chair Sandoval.
Send them off. He's not here.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I meant to say Salazar. I'm sorry. And I did so well till I got to you.
So, yes, in favor.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Mr. Potensi, so we'll be having another hearing soon, that you're gonna be talking about variance and rezoning, okay? There's gonna be questions on the border walls. And you heard them. And, no, they're not gonna help you pay for it, so you got that, but it's true, okay? And also on the rezoning, so we'll get, comments from staff and their recommendation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your comments and for being here.
Oh, that's.
We do have a couple more
Mr.
things
Chair,
on
you do have a few more things on the agenda. Oh, you're gonna take a break. Okay.
Yes.
I didn't hear you say. Look, I'm sorry. I'm just, yes, I know. And I'm.
On track. Is that what you report? It's absolutely, it's absolutely right.
So you don't have to-
Right. That's what you're protecting them. We want- Well.
Sorry to be a person. Let me just save this. I just want to save this before I move from